Twitch Teach. I am David Amboys, and I am alongside James Gutta here tonight for a special edition of Twitch Teach here for the season finale of the inaugural CDRA Motorsports Drop Super Truck Series. It is almost in the books, 15 races down, only one left to go, and we are absolutely looking forward to things at Las Vegas on Monday night. As I mentioned, my guest is two-time Court TeamSpeak Cup Series champion. I believe one was TeamSpeak. Were both Court TeamSpeak Cup Series champions there, Jim? Was it both TeamSpeak Cup at the time?
I know. One is definitely TeamSpeak, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know if I have a second.
I'm pretty sure you do, don't you? Yeah, I thought you won it twice. I thought you were a two-time champion.
Well, let me tell you this. At least, if nothing else, after Wednesday, I'm going to be at least a two-time champion. I'll give you that. Big
words, but big-time event, big-time feel, big fight feel, as they say in the fight business. And we are in the home of the fight business, Las Vegas. 4-way tie, because of the manufactured point system, of the Court National Cup Series has led to you, Justin Bland, John Long, and Aaron Bean going straight up. Whoever crosses the start-finish line first on Wednesday night will be the champion in the Court National Cup Series. We have a pretty tight point battle here in the CDRA Motorsports Drop Super Truck Series 2. That is led, of course, by Matt Everhart, who had to come through the back of the field a couple times on Monday night at Auto Club Speedway. He holds a 3-point advantage over Elliot Henderson, who also had to go through the field on Monday night at Auto Club. Both guys had to deal with adversity in that second to last race of the season, but both of them still tight, 3 points. That's only the gap, and that's over 15 races, no point system, no playoff system. That's straight up.
Yeah, no, it's come down to a really tight battle, and that's what you wanted with this series too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, these people that they have it set so that they're the only ones racing for points, and then every now and then you get these others that come in that have a limited amount of starts. So it's not easy racing the whole time. You have to compete with a lot of different people, and especially for Everhart to come back as much as he did last week, just to make it within a 3-point gap for the championship it's exciting.
Yeah, and Everhart has had some starts in the Court National Cup Series. I think he had a 4th place finish at Michigan earlier on in the season, which was 2 races ago in that series. And Elliott's not a stranger to the Court Premier Divisions as well. He has a few starts in the Drive First National Series, which was the old Monday Series 1 year ago this time of year. Yeah, Jim, you got a really exciting night planned for Wednesday night, the Court National Cup Series finale. Like you mentioned, you think you're going to take the crown. How do you feel about Las Vegas?
It has been one of my better tracks, as long as I don't put myself in the wall, which I am known to do, or if I don't mess up pit stops, which I'm pretty good at doing. But I'm excited about it because it's a momentum track. And with these car combinations and even this truck that we're going to see here in a little bit, personally, I prefer the momentum tracks like Michigan. Michigan's my house. You're not going to win when you go there when I'm racing. It's all about finding these lines to keep up your speed and then not scrub your tires. So I think I'm at a pretty good spot.
Yeah, and you've been really good at Michigan. I think you've won the last 2 times we've been there, maybe even 3 times. So been really good at Michigan, and I believe that is where the season finale is in the spring for the Court National Cup Series too.
I love that.
Yeah, I got to be pretty happy about that too. So this episode of Twitch Teach is a little bit different than how we normally do it. Normally, when you tune into the show, we go through a replay and we point out incidents and we try and tell you what to improve on, and then maybe we do a little bit of a preview of the following week. We're doing things a little bit different here tonight. I got Jim to run a 15-lap run at Las Vegas. Now, this is during the day, as we bring up the picture here. This is during the day. The race is at night. I want to stress the race is at night, but we felt it would be a better indicator and a better demonstration if we showcase this during the day, because you tend to have a slower pace and the tires seem to wear a little bit more if you run it during the day. So I got Jim to run 15 laps, and I'm just going to let the replay play, Jim, and you tell us what you see here.
Sure thing. Yeah, so we did choose day just to kind of exaggerate this tire
Yeah.
fall off just a little bit more, especially since I'm running only like 15 laps. Um, if you go into my cockpit,
Yep.
I'd like to start pointing out some, well, just follow the wheel for the most part. Like
Yep.
as we're talking and we're watching this, you can go ahead and hit play.
Yep.
This track with this truck, it's a nice wide open throttle type race. In the beginning, you're not really going to need to let off the gas, at least doing solo runs. At nighttime and with draft, it might be just a little bit different. But here in these first couple opening laps, it was just wide open throttle for me. So one of the big things about this track, and you'll see as I start getting wound up, and I did slip a little bit. It was a little loose in the beginning, but the biggest thing that you want to do when you're running these types of tracks is always keep it on the bottom and try not to wiggle the wheel too much. And so what I mean by that is if you're watching that red tape up at the top of the wheel, the less that you can make that wiggle back and forth. Like right there, that wasn't the best, but if you can keep that relatively in the same space, that's going to help your tire savings a lot, which plays off huge in these type races.
Yeah. And as you can see here, going through 1 and 2, they're just very smooth. Finite movements is the main thing. You don't really want to have it move too much, and you don't really want to give it quick jabs or anything like that, too.
Right, because the more you make these little quick jabs, the more it upsets the car or truck a little bit more, and you'll find that it'll start the snowball effect of like chasing it. What you really want to do is just do nice, like soft, smooth motions until you get to the point where, with the combination of how hard you have the wheel turned and how much throttle you have, you're just sitting at the bottom line. Like that will be the end goal. A big thing about these tracks, and it's not really as prevalent here, at least right now, but surprisingly enough, when I got to like lap 13, 14, 15, I did have to let off. But when it gets to that point, as far as tire saving is concerned, which is going to help you, you want to be letting off nice and smooth on entry, and then finding your spot where you're right there at the bottom, and then just being nice and patient with the throttle until you can bring it off out of the turns. And one of the big things about doing that is when you're running the bottom, you are burning less tire. If you could put on the high side, or if you run the high side willingly, your tires do fall off a lot quicker than if you were just running the bottom.
Yeah.
And Dave, how many tire sets coming up for this Monday?
Well, this Monday at Las Vegas is an intermediate, so we're going to be looking at 3 sets of tires, 1 on the truck, 2 in the pits.
Gotcha. So,
effectively a set of tires for every pit stop.
Right. And it's going to be important because, I mean, it's not like the old days where, you know, it's just unlimited tire sets and you can pit whenever you want. It's a big strategy play when you do take them. The longer you can make them last, the longer you can wait to put on new tires. And when we get to looking at the lap times, like that is going to have a huge effect.
Yeah. It's gonna have a giant effect when it comes to lap time, especially the later on into a run. Now, Jim, let me ask you this: is it with this current tire model? In the past, we've seen that you can go hard right away, and then you can kind of let off, and then like maybe 4 or 5 laps into a run, settle into a rhythm that way. Now, if I pull up the lap chart here, you can see you don't really fluctuate much from your first lap. So is it a case where you need to kind of start saving your tires right at the beginning of a run and being concentrated on that?
Yes, absolutely. With the way the current tire model is set up right now, the earlier you can start saving, the better off you're going to be. It is kind of one of those cases where the tire wear, depending on how hard you run in those first 5 laps, it can set up the way that the tires behave the rest of the race. And just being that this is a wide open track and there's going to be drafting, there are a couple ways where you can just immediately start off by saving. Not to mention doing this low line running that I'm doing here that I already talked about. When you're running behind a truck, you can let off in the corners pretty, like, a lot earlier than they do, or at least even if they're not letting off, you can still let off just a little bit, just so you're not running as hard, because when you're behind them and you have that draft, you'll get caught right back up.
Yeah, because you got the aerodynamic effects of the truck in front of you. And these trucks, they did a modification in the last build, but even before that, these things suck up real good.
Yeah, they punch a pretty big hole in the air. Now, so I'm taking lap 10 here.
Yep.
What you're going to start seeing, this is only 10 laps into a run, but 1 and 2 here is going to get difficult. You're going to see me start pushing up on exit here, like that. I'm not on the line anymore.
Let me roll that back real quick for you, sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so if you watch it here, note, for the most part, Jim's been below this seam this whole first 10 or so laps of this run. And I want you to, if you didn't catch it, I want to roll it again. Watch him here. It's going to start pushing because the tires are worn now. So it's pushing across the seam. Now he's got to open up his exit a bit more.
That's right. I'm not able to go full throttle, or at least as much full throttle. I do kind of let off just a little bit to make it steady. If you can pause it here.
Yep.
Right there. See that white line? That's where, as far as, lining up the hood of the truck, you want it to be right around there. That's being at the lowest part of the track where you're making up the most time. You're taking the shortest way around the track, but you're burning the tires as, not as much as if you were running any higher than that.
Yeah.
So as you go ahead and hit play, keep this image in mind, but the next 1 and 2 is going to be nowhere near that.
Yeah.
I did figure it out around like lap 13, 14, or 15.
So tell you what, sorry, I'm just going to rewind this back, and we'll take a reference. So we'll do this, and then, crap, I can't leave it on the screen, sorry. I thought I was able to leave it on the screen, but I was not able to.
Everyone take your mouse pointers.
All right, yeah, tell you what, that's a great idea. Put your mouse pointer on the screen right there, and I'm going to roll it. Don't move it. Don't move it. Don't move it.
We can see. Don't move it.
Don't move it. And it's like those tests now that they got for the kids. You can't move the mouse. If you don't move it, you fail. So you see, nowhere near it.
No, not at all.
Can't even get to it.
Pushing up right away on exit. So that's something that you're going to want to avoid. And if you notice that when you're racing, your truck starts doing this, you're going to want to start to immediately adapt to figure out how to switch that.
Now, how...
Oh, go ahead.
So now, how would you adapt to that?
Well, there are a couple ways. My way is just backing up the corner. It's not taking it as hard. It's not necessarily changing the line that I'm choosing to run it, but it's using less throttle.
Yep, so which you did right there, yeah.
Yep. And that's still, this, I would not call this perfect. This still has a lot of work to do, but you can see it's not full throttle anymore whatsoever, but I'm actively trying to drive my truck on the bottom.
Yep, so we're rolling this at half speed, and you could see Jim had to really kind of back out of the throttle there on entry. So we'll slow it down again, and you'll notice that Jim knows he can't get to the bottom here. So he's laying off the throttle to try and scrub off speed, because remember, if you scrub off speed, you got a little bit more maneuverability to get down to the bottom, but still wasn't quite able to get it there. So we'll roll it back at full speed.
And you'll see when I did that, if you could you roll that back one more time?
Yep.
The entry, as far as I'm concerned, the entry was good, but where I made a mistake here in this lap was I got back on the throttle too soon.
Yeah.
You'll see as soon as that little bar right there goes right back up to full, my truck, it just goes right back to pushing. And that's not something that you're going to want to do, because I didn't hit the wall there. But if you're getting back to the throttle too early, you can easily create the situation where you go up, you hit the wall, you might rebound, go into the inside wall and wreck, but either way, it's going to screw up your night.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot at Las Vegas in the past, not just in the Truck Series, but even in the Cup Series back in the day, a lot of guys maybe sometimes, maybe about mid-pack, somebody would, be really going for it at the beginning of a run. Tires lose wear or tires lose grip because they are worn, and then you end up hitting the outside wall. You come into somebody. I think we get it like once every Vegas race where somebody is tight off two, hits the wall off two, takes somebody out with them, and they're spinning toward the infield wall.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, the wall comes up on you quick, especially there has been moments, and when it started getting tight here, this was one of those moments too, but it's like a flip of the switch.
Yep.
Everything's fine, and then one lap,
Nope.
it's different.
Everything's fine until it isn't.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
So you'll see here too, 3 and 4, I'm still full throttle. It's a different end of the track. Or I guess I'm not full throttle completely, but it's not.
You don't need to get out as much.
Right. This is just like a little bit setting up.
Just a little crack.
Yeah. But my goal is still bring the truck right down to the bottom line, keep it there, wait until it's safe for me to hit the gas to where I can still, hang in here on this line and then exit the corner.
Yep. So on exit. You got a lot more real estate to play with on exit here.
Absolutely. I think this might be one of the first laps where I started correctly adapting for one. So you can see I'm way off the throttle. I'm not, so this was better. This still isn't good. But even there, when I did start to get back on the throttle, it was only around halfway, and it was just holding it there until finally I could get to the point where once I knew I could push the gas 100%, I knew that the truck wasn't going to move too much, and I didn't have any need to take my foot off the gas again, because that's with these momentum tracks. Once you get to the point where in a turn you can just go 100% on the throttle again, you want to just keep that 100% throttle, because if you have to crack it again on exit, you're going to lose all your speed down the straight and lose time to anyone racing around you.
Yeah, once you get 100% throttle, you don't want to have to take it off again, because again, like Jim said, that the truck behind you is likely going to nail the corner in comparison to you, and they're going to have a much better corner exit, and they're just going to gobble you up down the back straightaway here. Because
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was going to say that they'll just gobble you up down the straightaway, and back straightaway is not as bad as the front straightaway, but I mean, this is still a very, very quick corner. You get past on the inside, let's say there's another truck behind them, then they're on your inside, and then before you know it, you're out of position for the entire front straightaway.
I mean, I'll give away my secret, like at these tracks. I make all my passes on corner exit. It's not diving it in to a corner at the beginning of it, trying to get by somebody. Sometimes I'll even let off, like right at the end of a straightaway as we're going into a turn. I might let off just to get a decent gap to somebody in front of me, because if you can roll these turns better than the person in front of you, when you exit, you're going to be going a couple miles an hour faster, and you're going to be like alongside of them going into the next turn. That's where you make your money and you pass people here.
Yeah, because, that's kind of an extent of backing up your corner, but that's as a tactical advantage instead of a handling advantage in that point.
Right.
Yeah, because what you're doing is you're basically sacrificing your in speed to a corner. You're sacrificing your in speed so that you can wait out the middle of the corner, and you're kind of counting on the guy in front of you to go at it a little bit harder than you do, taking advantage of it, and then just slipping underneath them and getting a good shot at the opposite end of the speedway. So, all right, so we'll go through 1 and 2 once again. But yeah, you can see tires starting to wear a little bit. Our lap times have come down a little bit too. I just want to point out, last lap was a 32.368, which is here on the list. And you can see right from here, our first lap, which is not even our fastest lap, our second lap was the fastest lap. We are 0.8 of a second slower on the time chart from 10 laps. So from 2 to 12, we've slowed down 0.8 of a second. So
And you can see it in the replay too. I mean, a good chunk of that, we're still going full throttle. It's
yeah,
only right now we had to start letting off a bit because the tires are wearing. But
yeah, yeah, and that's a lot of the case of this new tire Model 7 where um, it's not so much new anymore. We've had it for about a year now, but in the grand scheme of things, new tire model, that's what they label it.
hmm
Um, it's a case where these things fall off, and when they fall off hard. And this is Vegas is about middle of the road for tire fall off. It's not in Atlanta where you will lose 4 seconds over a run, but it's a mile and a half and you're going to burn tires, especially with the truck, with the way that it is, with the giant spoiler on the back, and being so, I don't want to say aero dependent, but like you can really just kind of throw it in the corner and go for the most part at the beginning of a run, that the tires are going to give up. They just will. So I see a lot of guys in practices, and granted, I think this is kind of nice to see with the split practices, which, by the way, are actually going to continue in 21A. I know I said that they were not going to continue. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I like them. So we're actually going to keep them for 21A. So practice 1, practice 2, and at short tracks, practice 3 will be returning in 2021A. And that will be at 7 p.m., not 7:30, 7 p.m. More on that later. Um, uh, I find that guys don't really do giant tire runs. Now, I don't know if guys do it on their own or whatever, but I really do think that guys, when you go into a practice, and I know we're kind of getting off topic here, but like when you get into a practice, I try and do at least a dozen laps, no matter where. If it's a place like Michigan or California, which is a little bit bigger, I do a 10-lap run. But I do at least a dozen to 15 laps like Jim's doing here, just to figure out how this thing breaks on a run. If I'm still not confident in it, then I'll try and do about half a fuel run, which is about 25 laps. But if you, I see too many guys, and granted, it's gotten better since the season started, but I've seen so many guys who come in and only run like 1 2 lap runs, 1 2 lap runs, and they're just trying to hit the practice chart. Don't look at the practice chart. Do not look at the practice chart. Just focus on getting a nice green flag run. Find out how the tires are going, because guess what? We don't pay any extra points for fastest lap. That's just not how it is. So focus on long runs. I stress it all the time. Long run, long run, long run. Don't look at the top of the chart. Long runs. That's important, as you'll see here. Because if you are focusing on a long run, let me bring Jim back in here. If you're focusing on a long run and you know that the tires are wearing at lap 10, 12, and John Q. Public, I'm just going to make up a guy.
I
This is a
hate
new
that
guy.
guy.
Y'all, you hate that guy.
I hate that guy.
John Q. Public just comes in, runs 2 lap runs, and then gets into the race. And by lap 8, let's say lap 8, because he hasn't made a concerted effort to save his tires, lap 8, he wears his stuff out. His right front's starting to go. He doesn't know that it's starting to go. He doesn't think about backing off it because he's like, why am I getting past? I'm going to race harder. And what happens is usually that driver hits the wall. He comes into somebody. He ruins somebody else's night. And then no one's happy.
Practice times are very good for setting up qualifying to start up front and then losing a lot of positions because you don't practice tire wear.
Yep.
That's what practice runs are good for,
Yes.
or at least top speed charts. Yes, I completely agree with everything you said. Our group, when we're all in team speak together, whenever we join a practice, at least 1 or 2 people are doing long runs to figure out the tire wear. Like somebody might do a 10-lap run or a 15 or 20-lap run, and we're looking at how much the tires wore uh, personally for us, but then also we'll compare our tire wear between ourselves. And if one person is like, yeah, after 10 laps, my tires were 85, but everyone else, it was 90, we'll start talking amongst ourselves to try and figure out where the issue was for that person and how they can save better. Um, I mean, really, just to give a shout out to Jeff, like
Jeff
he's
Gross.
increased. Yeah, he's increased a lot just from doing these activities amongst ourselves. But on tracks like these, it always comes down to just make sure you're always on that line as much as possible, that you're not scrubbing your tires, you're nice and smooth and everything. But it's just about being consistent like that. I can't tell you how many times like it might be like, say at the start of a race, like it might be like lap 5 or 6, and people are really pushing. I'll let them by, and then maybe 10 or 15 laps later, I'm passing them like they're sitting still because they burnt their stuff up.
Yeah.
It's like you want to get into the habit of racing is fun, and it's fun to just go balls to the wall the entire time. But that's fun if you're running like a 20 lap race. Like you have to be with these race distances, you have to be conscious about your tire saving. That's what's going to net like top fives and top tens. That's why people fall off so much from qualifying pretty well and then finishing not as good as they qualified, because there's no tire saving
Yeah.
at the forefront of the minds.
Yeah, that's the big thing is you got to be able to save your tires. And going back to what you said, 20 lap sprints are a lot different than even these CDRA races, which are shorter than our cup races, but they're only shorter by about 25 miles or so. They're 117 laps on mile and a halfs. In the Cup Series, we run 134. Um, you get a lot. You get almost as close to the distance of a cup race without getting to a cup race in court. So um, you get a lot of really, really good experience in how to save tires. Because I'm going to be honest with you, when we used to have a truck series back in the day in court, not the Cedar series, but the court series, when we would have a truck series, the races at these places would be 75 laps. Which, yeah, that's great that, and we had unlimited tires too at the time. So you're talking about, only about 2/3 of the distance that we had, but we would have like 6 or 7 cautions, and you could just pop in and get tires every time. And so
Yeah,
you're not
back
you're
then it didn't.
yeah, like you're not learning how to save the tires. Which is why I love the tire limits. I think it's one of the best things iRacing's put into the service in the last 2 or 3 years, is because not only has it encouraged drivers to save tires and race in not in a realistic manner, but like be a little bit more conservative with their racecraft. But it's also created strategy moments. Going back a couple weeks ago, we had the regulars only event back at Charlotte, and we had a long 100+ green flag run after the first 5 laps. We went green until I believe like 114 or 115. Like it was a long green flag run, and we had you saw in the final pit stops, the decision to get on your last set of tires was so vital to how that race played out, because eventually a caution came out. There were only about 10 or 12 drivers on the lead lap, and then before you know it, I ended up with a top 10 when I was not a top 10 that whole night. It's just a case of the way that it breaks down. So tire management, I know it's not exactly breaking news because we've had this tire model for a year, but if you're new to the service or new to the stock car side of things, or new to running these longer events that are maybe longer than official races, it's vital. It's absolutely vital to how you construct your race. It's you can't skimp on your tire knowledge. And unfortunately, I know it's not sexy, but the only way to get better at it is just to do it. Just commit a half hour every now and then, just run a tire run, know how it breaks down. Even if it's at a track we're not going to, just do it to know it. Because you could take that, put it in your Rolodex, and then you can go back out there and you can figure out how to do it for the next one. So that's basically all I can really say for tire management. I've gotten a lot better at it. I used to be really terrible at it, But since we've gone to the limited tire sets and everything, I've definitely gotten better at it myself, and that's from someone who runs in the mid pack. So it definitely helps.
Well,
Yeah.
again, to back up all those points, I mean, if you put in the hypothetical situation here, that say there's 10 laps to go in the race, and you just pitted for fresh tires because you saved your tires,
Mm-hmm.
and the leaders are out there. Say there was a caution 10 laps ago before this hypothetical restart. If you're on 10 lap newer tires, I mean, look over at the lap times again.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was running 32.4s rounded compared to brand new tires 31. It's hard to read with it being red, but
Yeah.
six rounded.
31.563 was your fastest time here.
Right. If you save tires and you push off taking tire sets and you can manage yourself on older tires better, you're getting to the point where like you can take tires later than other people and all of a sudden you're running almost like a second faster a lap.
Yeah. Isn't it what they say? Don't short pit, never short pit, don't short pit.
Yeah.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
some oddball cases, but yeah, if the longer you can go on these tires and save them, people might get an advantage um, just a little bit out front. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it comes back to really hurt you. And then if there's a caution, it's game over for the person with no tires left.
Yeah, and then you're just
Be
hanging
it,
on for dear life.
yeah, I
Um,
mean, no tires left. Even be it in the pits or just tire wear on your truck.
yeah, like it's game over, man. Game over. Um, I go back to Iowa earlier in the season. Curtis Granger, he saved his last set of tires with like literally about 15 laps to go and was restarting 20th, and he just powered through to the win
Yeah, he
because
decimated everyone.
he destroyed everybody in the CDRA Motorsports Drop Super Truck Series at Iowa because he was just able to save his tires and got it all the way to the front. Like it was like he was standing, like everybody else was standing still. I mean, he beat some really good drivers to win that one. And, I mean, Curtis also made the playoffs in the Court National Cup Series. So he's had a great year regardless, but just
Oh
an
yeah,
incredible display of what he was able to do. He was able to pass by Jordan Erickson and Matt Everhart for that win. That was pretty crazy.
yeah.
Let's go ahead and continue this replay. We only got about 2 more laps before we'll kind of break it down. By the way, we are in the chat. I know I should have mentioned it sooner. We are in the chat. If you guys have any questions about what you are seeing, feel free to shout them out. If you watch the archive, I can't help you. All right, let's go. Here. So going into turn 3.
So what you'll see here is again, turn 3 and 4 is a little bit different. You don't have to be like too different on the throttle here. You can see I'm full throttle there. I don't even know if I cracked it.
No, I don't think you did. I think you kind of opened up your entry a little bit, and that kind of helped it.
Yep. Okay, so that's good.
Yeah, you're full throttle. You kind of opened up your entry, and you were able to kind of just power through. Oh, you know what? You cracked it just a hair here.
There you go, right there.
There you go. But could compare that to 1 and 2. Like 1 and 2, you got to back out all the way out. You got to really feather it. You got to be really careful with it on the exit. Here, you just need to give it a quick, and you're gone. So, very, very different set of corners here at Vegas.
It's just enough to set it up so where you get right on that bottom, and you can hold that wheel relatively still throughout the turn, minus the little corrections, but you're not weaving back and forth. One of the worst things you can do is throw it into a corner and then slide the vehicle up to the middle. I mean, not only do you have to let off the throttle to correct it, but also while you're sliding, you are destroying your tires. You want just nice, smooth movements. Just go down, hold down, and then flow back up out of the corner.
Yeah. So if you blew your corner here, by about now, well, probably about here is when you would start sliding up the racetrack. You would start going this way.
Right.
And you don't want to do that. Basically, the truck would kind of make... Here, I got to get out of the truck. Got to go into chase view. Or you would probably... This front end would start pointing probably around here. Well, no, that's a little excessive, but probably be about here. Like it would be the whole truck. You got to think of it. A tire has finite grip. I had Ryan Lewis teach me a little bit of this when it came to the LMP2 car, but same applies here because guess what? That car's got tires and this car's got tires. Um, they it's got so it's got a finite amount of grip. So when you got just a certain amount of grip available to you and you're already maximizing it, when you throw a car into the corner aggressively, you've already put so much load on the tire that it can't grip. So let's say theoretically this part here of the tire is the last little bit of tire that you got. If you throw it in, you're trying to throw it in with this much tire, if this is like a meter or whatever, that it won't grip. So if you throw it into the corner and you throw it in gently, like Jim did here, and you're kind of being whatever, you're not spiking your tire in kind of a crappy way to describe it. You're not spiking the tire to kind of add trauma to the rubber on it that it's not able to get a consistent contact on it, and it's not gonna drift up like Jim's describing. So yeah. So anyways, sorry. Continue.
There you go. So as we watch here, let's do this at full speed.
Yeah, you want it at full speed?
Corner.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have this 3 and 4 because I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, at this time I had figured out how to compensate in 1 and 2, where it's just keeping the truck nice and on the bottom. So let me see if my memory is correct, which it might not be. But I want to see this entry here because I'm off the throttle a lot, like substantially.
Yeah, there you go.
Coming down a bit, and then just waiting until the right moment to where you can just get back on it, and then hold it on exit.
Yeah, so we'll go back there and we'll roll it at half speed. But yeah, like Jim said, he got way out of the throttle. So watch the throttle input here, and you'll notice he gets out of it. Okay, now he's really out of it. Kind of just flirts with it, and that at that point, Jim, what are you doing here when you're kind of spiking the throttle here? I know what you're doing, but I want you to explain it to the people watching.
So what I'm doing here, my eyeballs are looking at that white line. I have the wheel turned at however much I have it turned, just for whatever corner I'm going in, and I'm controlling how low I am at the track with the throttle itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm keeping the wheel completely, I don't want to say straight, but it's in the same exact spot. I'm not changing how I'm turning to compensate if I need to go higher or lower on the track. That change comes through throttle control.
Mm-hmm.
So if I need to go down lower, I just you let off the gas. You lose a little bit of speed, you can duck down a little bit lower. If I need to go higher, or as soon as, we're ready to leave the corner, then I get right back in the gas, and I'll still keep the wheel held at the same spot, but that's how I get through the corners and keep it on the bottom. It's not so much about holding the wheel and turning it. It's about having the correct amount of throttle in it to keep it down there on the bottom. And when you see me wiggling back and forth, that's me playing with it. That's me going, oh, this might be a little bit too much that I let off. Maybe I can pick it back up. And then if I start not moving down as much as I want, that's me going, crap, I need to let off a little bit more to get it down lower. That's what this is.
Yeah, and that's driving off the right rear. If you've ever heard a driver complain about, I have to drive it off the right rear or whatever, that's because they're using the throttle input of the car. They're using the literal throttle to help drive the car by applying, throttle acceleration off the right rear tire to get the front end to turn, which is what Jim's doing there with that. But I just wanted to point that out for anybody who might not be understanding what exactly he's doing there, because it is a little interesting, and then, you know what, it's something that you don't really get to mention too much in this. It's kind of, I think some people kind of just think it's implied, but honestly, just spiking it every now and then, that's what you're doing, is you're just trying to get the throttle to help the turn in.
Yeah, and I'm not doing it so much to kick it loose or anything. I'm just trying to find where is it that I can go back into the throttle. I'm feeling out
kind of like a safety blanket.
Right.
Yeah, just trying to figure out where exactly and get back on the throttle. All right, so back on it again, and now turn 3 here.
And I would still be, I think I corrected a little bit here, but again, turn 3 and
Yep.
4 is very different. Yeah, just a little bit.
Well, a little bit more than you have so far in the run, though.
Yeah, so you can tell the tires, even though it's lap 14, they're really wearing. And again, this is during the day, so it's going to be different when Monday night comes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be as tight because the track will be cooler.
But yeah,
but it's something to pay attention to.
so run that
You
at
take a
half
sip of water.
speed. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just run at half speed, and then we'll run at full speed here.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's all good. And then we get one more lap out of here, and then we'll touch base here.
And so again, having just played with all these laps and everything, I know how much I need to let off. So you'll see here again, me coming in here, substantial let off, and it's just waiting for the truck to get to that bottom so we can keep it right there.
Yeah.
And it might seem like you're going like a little bit slower or that it might be faster to go around the high line, but when you're riding behind somebody and you're doing what I'm doing and you watch the truck in front of you try to just still drive as fast as possible and not keep it on that bottom line and not try and take care of the tires, you'll see them just letting off on corner exit, and then the next thing you know, you're passing them, and then you don't see them again for that tire run.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's what you got to do. So I just want to do a quick comparison, okay? We're going to go to lap 2, which was your fastest lap time, and I'm going to leave the overlay up because I don't think I had the overlay up for when we ran that lap 2 lap. So take a look here. Keep an eye here as we run this lap, and just look at the difference 2 lap old tires is compared to just 13 lap old tires afterwards. So you see a little bit of a lift, but he's able to get on it. The tires got a ton more grip, so he's able to give it more. And then you'll see 3 and 4, it's likely full throttle. Little crack, back on it. The other thing, too, is you got to keep in mind, new tires, you're going to have a little bit, it's going to be a little loose, too. So you're going to have to play with the throttle. So note that, and let's go back to the lap that we just watched. So watch the difference in throttle inputs.
And this is only 13 laps difference.
Yeah. So you see a lot more out of the throttle, a lot more coasting. Not completely out of it, though. I want to stress that. Back in
I'd say in about 5
30,
or 10 laps.
Yeah. 30% throttle or so. And then on exit, down the start-finish line.
And this lap is a full second slower than that lap 2 lap we just watched.
1.2 seconds is actually... Yeah, it's actually a little bit... it's about 1.2 seconds slower. So, yeah, I mean, it tells you right there. That's the difference in just 13 laps worth of tires. So, 13 laps is 1.2 seconds. So, that is something that really hammers home the difference in lap time there. So, you gotta save your tires. That's the end game here. You gotta save your tires, and corner entry and your line is really big on that too. Now, Jim, when you're running behind somebody, let's say there's a truck in front of you, what's something that can kind of affect your line when you're running behind somebody?
Well, there's a whole bunch. It can be the difference of just how everybody takes the turns. You might be used to letting off later than the truck in front of you. That might affect you and slow you up. I haven't noticed too much aero push in these trucks, but it's hard to also hit your marks when you're right behind a truck and they're blocking everything too with these giant bumpers. But it's one of those things where the better that you can just try and pretend that truck isn't there, don't run them over, but just that they're not there. You want to keep doing the same thing that you've been doing as much as you can. It's not one of those things where once you get up to a truck, you should necessarily think about like dive bombing to make a pass or anything. You just want to keep running your laps and then let the pass happen naturally.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a big thing when it comes to it. And like you mentioned, yeah, there isn't too much aero push in the trucks. It's not like the current Cup car, which at a place like this is just dreadful, to be quite honest with you. Um,
Yeah,
or,
I'm not a
or
fan.
yeah, or even even going back to the DW12. I know it's a random example, but the Indy cars back in the day, it was arrow push city on exit, following behind somebody. At least here, you got a fighting shot, you got a fighting chance with the arrow push. But the one thing that you do have to keep in mind when you do follow behind somebody is like, yeah, like I said, there is a little bit of arrow push though. So in the middle of the corner, when you get back on the throttle, there's a good chance that truck in front of you is taking the air off your front end, which doesn't allow you to get the downforce that you need. So, for following tight behind somebody, and you notice that you're not able to get the grip that you are able or that you think you got, it's because you're not getting the grip on, or you're not getting the downforce on the front end, which would assist you in that. So, um,
And
so
one of the things that you can do to correct that, it all comes down to throttle control.
yeah,
Again, when you're running here on the bottom, if you notice that you're starting to get a bit tight, don't be too quick to jump on the gas, because once you do that, it's going to exacerbate that tight motion, and then
yeah,
it's going to be having you push up in the racetrack. It's it's good to be patient, especially with these trucks, because you'll have the draft down the straightaways. You always want to keep in mind, just focus, like run the bottom, be nice and smooth. Don't worry about, you know, if you have to let off the throttle a little bit just to keep your lines running smooth, that's what you want to do, because that's going to pay the big dividends in the big picture.
the other thing too is that you will these things like we mentioned earlier punch such a giant hole down the straightaway or just in the air in general that you'll likely be able to suck back up to them if not right away in the next couple laps. So if you have to get out of the throttle because you're tight, don't worry too badly, because if you're smart enough and you can adjust it accordingly, you can get right back up to them.
One of the things I do at tracks like this, or at Auto Club or Charlotte, like specifically in the trucks, where it's full throttle for a while, when I'm running behind somebody, like off a fresh restart with new tires or the start of the race, even though you can just go full throttle, I don't. I run like half throttle in the turns
Yeah,
until, you need to exit and everything. But, you don't need to be going full out immediately. And I do think it's better to, like at these draft tracks, just, still just crack the throttle a bit, so you're not, anything you can do to save tires, the smallest amount is going to help you.
yeah, certainly. Because what you're doing is, yeah, you're kind of putting money in the bank. You ever hear that? You're putting money in the bank. You're kind of saving a little bit for that last little bit in the run. Because let's say you got 5% more tire or 10% more tire compared to the driver in front. Man, that's a big difference when it comes to 40, 50 laps into a run. Huge difference.
Yeah.
Real quick, I wanted to show everybody this real quick because I meant to show this a little bit sooner, but we do have Jim's setup breakdown here, and going over his right front tire there on this graphic that we have here on the screen. Want to quickly point out there's his right front tire breakdown. And Jim, why don't you explain to everybody what exactly these last temps and tread remaining might mean to people?
So the last temps, the higher they are, that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's less grip. It wears a lot faster. Um, Luckily, the thing with us being fixed setup league is we don't have to necessarily worry about tire temps too much, because ultimately it comes down to how the setup is like built. It's a good gauge to know how fast you're running, because you always want to keep them low. Um, but luckily, like with us, it's just kind of everyone's dealt the same cards.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. But you'll find that, as those temperatures start heating up, especially like in the right rear, it's going to be it's going to change how the truck drives completely. Like it's going to be a lot looser, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to put it. Like especially, I mean, it is one of those things to pay attention to, but sometimes with how iRacing works, you'll see like the top one there, the 284 on the right, and then 322 on the left.
Yeah, it's just kind of all over the place. But that seems to be a construct of their setups right now.
Right,
Is
right.
is that it's just it feels like they're just actually that's actually a pretty good one because I've seen sometimes where we've had guys have setups or we've had setups where guys have had like 20 20 91. So that's actually pretty good. Um,
The weird thing too is we looked into it, and I guess as much as that doesn't make sense and doesn't apply to real world, when you do actually like fix the camber and everything and make it work, it drives worse
yeah, it
in
drives
iRacing.
terribly, which
But
is that's the
yeah,
tire model right now, folks.
yep.
But also, I want to point out tread remaining and last temps. Those don't update in real time. So if you're coming from N2K3, which if you are, what took you so long? Um, if you look at it, those don't update in real time like they did over there. iRacing actually does it a little bit different. They update that at the last pit stop that you took or the last time you exited out of your car. So this is Jim exiting out of his truck after the 15 lap run. As you can see right there, and you can see the tire pressure difference. We started with 45 psi on both right sides and 23 psi on the left sides, and you can see the difference in the tire load. You went up 19 degrees or 19 psi on the right front and 57 to 45, so you went up 12.8 psi on the right rear, and that's just because of the load that you're putting on right side corners
Oh
and
yeah.
also generating the heat too. So that's something to keep an eye on is, you will generate heat in the tires. Heat air expands when it's hotter. That's some basic math, science. It's definitely science.
Science,
Um,
science.
yeah. Um, so yeah, that's something to keep an eye out on whenever you're working on that. And again, honestly, the best thing you can do, and like I said earlier, and it's not sexy at all, but just run tire runs. Try it out. We're gonna have a 2 week off season. It's a big long off season at Cedra. Oh boy, 2 weeks.
It's huge.
But let's listen. I'll explain why we're doing that here in a minute. But yeah, it's a 2 week off season, but that's a good chance, especially some of you guys might be off for the holidays. Um, it's a good time to kind of work on that. So,
Yeah.
um,
So if I may,
yeah,
when I took a look at this, um, I was not happy with this.
hmm
Just being that it was 15 laps. I don't really care about left side percentages.
yeah, left side's kind
I've
of
never worried about
forgettable.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the right front and right rear, um, I go by the middle tread for the most part. So after 15 laps to have 82%, that's alarming to me.
hmm
So this was I didn't run any extra practices. I just hopped in the server, ran the first 15 laps, and then that was it. I would look at this now, and this is what I was thinking to myself after I saw this. I would go back and try and do another 15 laps, but try and focus more on, instead of going as hard as I did in the beginning, I would start letting off the gas a lot more,
hmm
to try and see if I can save more percentage of tires. And the biggest thing when you're doing this, and if you do practices, which I can't recommend enough. The big thing here is you're not worried about single lap speed. You don't care about that.
hmm
If I were to go out with this information and try and save more tires, I'd try and be more smooth, not be as tight as often, keep it on the bottom the entire time, not wiggle my wheel. But I would go and compare the fall off from those first 15 laps and compare it to another run of 15 laps. Because if you can make it to lap 15 in your second run and you're running maybe 2/10 quicker, that's going to be huge on track. That's if you want to finish top 10, top 5, that's what you do. And the only thing that stinks about doing and practicing that is it's just going to be so easy from there on out. Just always finish top five, top 10.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a case where you just got to do it. You got to put in the work, as they say. I mean, you just got to put in the work. So, um, but I mean, yeah, you if like I say, like you said, if I saw that I ran an 82% on the right front after only 15 laps, yeah, I would definitely work to improve on that. Maybe go back out there, try another 15 laps, and see where I'm at, and try and adjust try and adjust the way that you approach your corner entry and your line. All this adds up. All this adds up. The topic of our show is, we are talking about lines, corner entries, and tire management. All of that adds up to how you end up running. So, very important things. They all add up. It's a pie chart. It all adds up. And
We're
it
all
all
there.
makes 100%. Um, so yeah, so that is pretty much it when it comes to the setup here, and all that. Jim, thank you very much for running these laps and showcasing to everybody what exactly a 15 lap run is with all the breakdown and everything. Really, really good stuff. I mean, we spent 55 minutes talking about a 15 lap run that took you what, maybe about 6 minutes to run. So that should tell you
Yeah.
just how much is going on as you run as you run these runs. But real quick, I do want to mention a couple things. One thing about the season, and a couple things when in regards to 2021. Um, First of all, thank you so much, everybody, for making the CDRA Motorsports Drop Super Truck Series an amazing success right out the gate. It's incredible how many people have come out for this series. And honestly, I got to give credit to Jim here. Jim had this idea for a series similar to this about like 4 years ago. Um, and it just didn't work out. We just didn't really have the infrastructure or anything to do it. And then in 2020, when I took a leave of absence and Aaron took over the Cup Series, um, it kind of freed me up to take over the Monday stuff. And I love teaching. I mean, I do personal Adobe Photoshop tutorials. I love teaching people stuff. I love teaching that kind of stuff. And I was trying to figure out a way to promote a series and still teach too. And that's what this series is kind of what it's all about is driver. That's why it's entitled, or the hashtag is driver development first, because we want to make you better. And if it's here in court or if you go to another league or whatever, that's fine. But as long as we can help you get better and maybe have fun along the way, it seems like that seems to be something that people really enjoy. I mean, we've had, I think I did the math, I think 82, that's no lie, 82 drivers come through the CDRA Motorsports Drop Super Truck Series this season. Now, granted, a lot of those,
Right.
about a third of that is guys like you, Jim, who are limited in starts who can't accommodate points. But when you break it down at that point, that's maybe about a dozen to 14 drivers or so. So you're talking about 50, like somewhere in the neighborhood of like 60, 65 drivers competing for points. Um, which is crazy. I mean, we had an LCQ race on Monday at the second to last race of the season with 5 drivers. Um, I've seen truck races with 15 people before, and here we are. We've been maxing out servers and maxing out fields, and um, I'm honored and thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. And I'm glad that everybody seems to be having a good time. Um, so some keynotes, and then we'll get out of here. Real quick, when it comes to 2021A, the roster list is going to get updated sometime next Thursday. We're going to do it after the Cup Series finale because we need to figure out which 12 drivers are going to be limited in starts on points, and then the defending champions and all that. they'll be limited on starts. Drivers limited on starts will lose one start. They will only be able to start 3 races next year. So keep that in mind. And then we'll be vacating everybody who didn't make 4 attempts. So if you have only attended and attempted to qualify for 3 races, get to Vegas on Monday to keep your spot on the tab. Very important. No exceptions. Got to be there at Vegas if you want to stay on the tab. If you only have three attended races, if you have 4 attempts, and I want to stress attempts, that's not starts. That's tried to qualify and you didn't make it in the LCQ. That's still an attempt. You're on the tab. Don't worry. That race still counts for you. However many we're taking off the tab is how many spots we're going to have available for the tab when signups open on Saturday. I believe they will be opening up on the Saturday. If not that Saturday, which is the 19th. If not, it would be Boxing Day, the 26th. I'm pretty sure it's the 19th, though. So that will be Saturday, the 19th at 12 noon Eastern. Folks, this series filled up in 3 hours when we opened up signups on July 4th. So if you want to be a part of this series, you want to get that sign up in right away. If you need to adjust your sign up after, we're going to do all the new signups first. If you want to change your number or sponsor or anything, if you are an existing driver in CDRA, please DM me after the fact. I would love to do it right away, but it's just there's too many moving pieces right now with this, and I'm the only one kind of handling signups. So if you want to change your stuff, please let me know after the fact, and we'll do that. There is going to be a open test to anybody, even non-CDRA members. If you want to come on out, feel free. On Monday, December 22nd, so the Monday after the finale, there will be a open setup test at Long Beach, because Long Beach will be the 3rd race of the CDRA Motorsports Drop Super Truck Series. That isn't a bit. We will literally be running Long Beach. And let me tell you something. With the new Long Beach that came out this week, Jim, it's more doable than you think. It's actually pretty doable. I think we could have a pretty okay race at Long Beach. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun track to lap.
It looks beautiful. I haven't tried it yet, but all the screenshots and videos, it's going to be awesome.
Hats off to the art team at iRacing. Incredible work. Like, legitimately unfathomable work that they put in for Long Beach. And obviously that's done mainly due to the pandemic because they weren't able to go and do anything. So for them to actually finish up Long Beach and give it to us, what a treat. And you know what? Maybe this is the start of them scanning other street tracks. You know, I mean, IndyCar goes to St. Petersburg, they go to Toronto, and they run those street courses. Who knows? Maybe they could go scan a V8 supercar street course, maybe that Newcastle track that they run or whatever. Wish they would have gotten Adelaide before it went belly up, but yeah, oh well. But yeah, the 22nd we'll be having a setup test. That's the Monday after the finale, and then. I don't think we have anything much after that. Contingency release will be new contingency package sometime released during the Christmas week. And then before you know it, it'll be January 4th and we'll be starting back up again. We'll be starting up at Homestead for season 2 of CDRA. And the reason why the season is starting in January is twofold. One, we want to get people who want to run in the Court National Cup Series Cup approval before Daytona, the season opener on February 5th. So we're going to give about a month of regulars only races. Homestead and Richmond, the first 2 races of the season are regulars only events. And that is so that if you guys want to get cup approval and you have intentions of running in the Court National Cup Series, which is the flagship series of Court, you gotta run those 2 events. And we got to see if you're good, like if you're competent enough to race in Cup. That's point blank how it is. No exceptions. If you're not on the Cup roster, that is the only way you're going to get on the Cup roster before the season opener at Daytona. So that frees that up. There's 4 races, actually. There's actually 4 races before Daytona in the Cup Series in CDRA. we're running 4 different racetracks, actually. We're running Homestead, Richmond, Long Beach, and Daytona on the ovals. So you have 4 different racetracks to get approval on right there. Cup approval is not guaranteed. It's earned. So the best thing I could say is car control, being able to be predictable, and just general etiquette. I mean, Jim, you've been here what, 7 years now? I mean, it's been that long.
Yeah,
Yeah,
12, 13.
yeah. Like you've seen how it goes. I mean, that's what we're really looking for in drivers for the Cup Series, is just being respectable and predictable and drive fairly clean. I mean, that's what we're looking for in the Cup Series.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to run in the Cup Series, you got to run CDRA. If you want to run in the Cup Series, you got to get Cup approval. That's how it works. CDRA's the official minor league for a reason. But also, lastly, the reason why the season's starting in January is because we're wrapping up the season last week of May. And the reason why we're doing that is so that the Court National Cup Series can have a full month of uninterrupted focus as they run their finals, or their final few races of the season. So kind of twofold, and it's going to continue that way. So the season 3 of CDRA will actually start in July, which is kind of we don't really mess too much with July in court, but CDRA will be taking July through November and then taking December off, and so on and so forth. So this is kind of a crappy off season. It's kind of short, kind of sucks. Really sucks for me. It's a lot of work to do, but that's the way it goes. But it'll pay dividends later on once we actually get up and running. So, all right, Jim. I say we've been at it for about an hour and 5 minutes. Why don't we go ahead and duck out of here? You got anybody you want to give a shout out to? And I want to say again, thank you so much for volunteering to do the show.
Oh yeah, no problem. No shout outs to give, but I just want to go over the homework for tonight from this. Just always focus, keeping that wheel smooth, keep your truck on the bottom, back up your corners when it starts to not run the bottom, and focus on saving your tires. Don't focus on running fast single laps. Focus on just being nice and smooth and seeing how long and how good you can save the tires. If you do that, positions are just going to fall into your lap.
Yeah, absolutely. That's if you don't get anything out of this other than one thing, save your tires. Work on saving tires. It'll pay you dividends. So yeah, you may be noticing we haven't really done one of these lately. It's because Jim volunteered to do it. They take a lot of work to do, folks. These are really, really difficult to do because there's a lot of planning, trying to make sure everything's good or whatever. If you are interested in seeing more of these, I'll try and make them happen, but I can't make any guarantees. Same with the track guides that we used to post on the Twitter account. If there is interest in those, I'll get back to making them. But it's a lot of running around trying to get laps from people because I'm not good and people want to see good laps. So it's a case of me trying to hound guys for for replays and everything. So if I'll try and keep doing them if you are interested, or if there is an interest for it, I'll try and keep making them for season 2. But if there isn't an interest or it's just not feasible, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but there's a lot on my plate. So anyways, on that down note, thank you guys for watching CDRA Twitch Teach. Again, thanks to my guest James Gutta for helping us out here tonight and showing us the best way to save tires. And for all of you, stay safe. Hope you enjoyed the finale. Remember, Matt Everhart only has a 3-point lead over Elliot Henderson heading into Las Vegas on Monday. It's all to play for. Las Vegas. It's going to be a good one on Monday night. So for James Gutta, I'm David Amboys. We'll see you next time. So long, everybody.
Have a good night.